So today's advent calendar is the SU-130PM. Is this a good tank? Yeah, it's not bad. How much is it going for? Okay, it's not worth that much. This is by no means a bad tank. It's just that the Scorpion G is better. And usually cheaper than that. Jesus. That's about like £30 or something. That is an expensive tank. Yeah, it does have 530 alpha. It does have good penetration, not just on the standard rounds, but also the premium rounds. As you can see, 320 heat rounds are quite nice, and they go at exactly the same shell velocity. It's not bad in the gun department wise, but the Scorpion G is more accurate. It gets a little bit more pen, I think. Wait. Yep, a little bit more pen on the standard rounds, but realistically, that's not going to make much of a difference. And obviously, you are going to have heat rounds instead of APCR, which is nicer, especially for kind of those longer distances. Although APCR up close is really, really nice because it's usually faster. Although the Scorpion G APCR isn't that good. So we've got to whack them into comparison to compare the two. So straight away, you're going to notice the difference between the guns. Yes, the Scorpion G does get a little bit more standard pen, as we've already mentioned, but 520 alpha versus 490, it hits a little bit harder. It is quite nice to have that higher alpha. It does mean that when you meet some tier 6s, you can one-shot some of them, and if not, you're going to be basically two-shotting them. It is nice to have, but it's kind of... You then trade off some of the DPM as well. As you can see, if we go down to here, it's not too much of a difference because the reload times aren't too dissimilar. The only thing that really makes me want the Scorpion G more is the aim time and the dispersion. This is super nice. You can get the Scorpion G all the way down to, I think, 0.23 or 0.24 if you use like improved aiming device and stuff like that. It's super nice to have. Both of them do get -7 degrees of gun depression, which is good. But be warned, the Scorpion G is slightly taller than the SU-130PM. So technically speaking, they can depress a little bit more on the SU-130PM, but not that much more. As you can see with the Scorpion G, and then we quickly switch to this, because it's slightly lower profile anyway, it's probably a degree, basically. Yeah, pretty much. But possibly the biggest deal breaker on the SU-130PM is that it does not have a fully traversable turret. You can only go 77.5 degrees to the left and to the right. Scorpion G has no problem with this because it can just go round and round in circles and it doesn't care. But obviously, when you are going to be facing people, you're going to have to turn your hull to actually go and do a 180, for example. In the Scorpion G, you don't have that issue. Just turn your turret 180 and then you can fire at them. Meaning that the dispersion values are actually a lot better on the Scorpion G because you don't have to turn your hull. Mobility wise, these two tanks get exactly the same terrain resistances. So yes, the SU-130PM is faster. It weighs less. It has basically the same power to weight because even though that it does weigh less, it doesn't get as powerful engine as the Scorpion G because that does, come into compensation because it weighs a little bit more. So it will get slightly more engine power. Both go at 20 backwards, but the SU-130PM is going to go at 65 forwards and the Scorpion G only at 60. So considering that exactly the same power to weight, exactly the same terrain resistances, the 130PM is going to basically accelerate at the same speed as the Scorpion G, but once it reaches that 60 top speed of the Scorpion G, the 130PM will go past it. Kind of the only thing that is making the 130PM better than the Scorpion G is the camo values. These camo values are insane. Remember when I was speaking about the Lantern C having 40% camo? And that was with like it maxed out. This is having 40% camo, just basic. If you do go and put them on, let's say that you put low noise exhaust on, it goes up to 44. Let's say you put food on the tank, it goes up to 46. And you know what, we'll just throw in a camo directive as well, 47. You know what, let's actually make that bounty. Why not? Yeah, 49% camo while stationary. If you went and put a camo net on it, which, I mean, technically you might, maybe that's for you, but for me, not really. 57% camo. Nearly 58. So yeah, you can get the camo rating pretty high on this thing. Although, because the camo rating is so good just naturally, I wouldn't really boost it up anymore. Considering that you're going to be quite far back from the enemy usually, and in a bush, it's not really worth boosting it. So you might as well boost kind of the gun handling and the accuracy and stuff like that on the tank. Speaking of which, gun rammer, obviously as a baseline for this tank, get as much DPM as you possibly can out of the tank. You could either go for improved aiming, and you know what, I would stick it in that slot and just leave the gun rammer as the other one. And then finally, it's down to you what you kind of want to have. You could go and choose coated optics to try and get your view range up a little bit more. And then, you know, you kind of got that all-round kind of tank where you can still spot for yourself. Or you could go for something like IRM and try and boost up your dispersion while you're actually moving the turret and the tank. There's lots of different things that you can choose. I mean, I guess you could choose low noise exhaust. Maybe that will work. That's kind of nice, I guess. But yeah, like the third slot is kind of just down to you. You could also choose turbo. That works. Then you got 69 kilometers an hour. Very nice. For field mods on this tank, you will go for the left one because there is never any point of going for the traverse speed. Always go for the improved durability of the suspension by 30% and then 15% to maintaining speed across all terrain types. That is the best one that you can get on any TD. It doesn't matter what it is, because if you improve the terrain resistances, you're actually improving the whole traverse speed as well at the same time, because that effective terrain resistance is going to increase your whole traverse on those different terrain types. Obviously, you want to get the aim circle size because the aim time doesn't matter too much. Always go for the dispersion to get your accuracy as low as is possible, and then it goes down to 0.28. And for view range, yes, view range. Just, yeah. Honestly, it doesn't matter. Like, this, chances are, if they're close enough, they're going to spot you. Like, that doesn't matter at all. Now, you do either get the scouting or survivability. I'd recommend you go with scouting for one reason only. You can put the low noise exhaust on it. So, I don't know. I think this is actually kind of a nice setup. That is a lot of camo. Like 48% camo there. Actually better to put the exhaust insulation on it. That goes up a little bit more to nearly 49. I mean, or you could put the camo on it and then you get 58. Combine that with a camo directive and you get 60% camo. Right. I mean, although that is only when you're stationary. So when you're not and you're moving, you get 42. So I'd probably just rather get that, in all honesty. What do you get without food? You still get 0.3 accuracy. You still get the 47% camo. I mean, 45% camo. But if you're going to go without food, I'd probably just recommend you use coated optics. Either that or... No, I don't recommend binos because you can't demount them for free anymore. I can't bring myself to recommend binos, honestly, on pretty much any tank now. It just doesn't help as much because you need to be stationary. But 40% camo with 440 meters view range and you have a pretty accurate gun, that's pretty nice. That is pretty nice. And then of course if you did use food, it goes up to, well, it's just better. So I know I did get a little bit carried away with the different builds that you can make on the tank and customizing it. Hopefully if you did buy this tank then, or you already have it, then you can get an idea of what to use. But if you're thinking about purchasing this for 10,000 something gold, I don't think it's worth it. I really don't. Considering that the Scorpion G is in the game and may be in the advent calendar, we don't know obviously, but it might be there. It definitely will be available at some point later on in next year probably. So yeah, I don't know. It's not as good as the Scorpion G is what I'm saying. The fact that it doesn't have a fully traversable turret and it just isn't as accurate, it doesn't make it so that the camo rating is then just outweighing all of those kind of benefits that the Scorpion G has. So yeah, that's my opinion on it. I would save your money and save your gold especially for something that is a little bit better, i.e. the Scorpion G, or just a better credit maker in general. Although, obviously, it is really, really good at making credits because, you know, TD, high penetration with standard rounds. Hope you did enjoy. Hopefully this was informative for you, and I'll see you all in the next one.